Introduction. The Forgotten Founding Father. His likeness has not been carved into the rock of Mount Rushmore, where iconic founding fathers George Washington and Thomas Jefferson dominate the landscape, along with later presidents Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. John Jay never won the White House. His features don't grace American currency, unlike those of Alexander Hamilton, whose right to be honored on the $10 bill was upheld with a bit of help from a Broadway musical. Unlike John Adams, John Jay was not celebrated in an award-winning television miniseries, although Adams praised Jay for his work in negotiating the Treaty of Paris, which ended the American Revolution. John Jay was integral to the scaffolding that built 13 independent and quarrelsome colonies into the United States, but it seems as though he has disappeared from the annals of his country's record. The Central Intelligence Agency, however, did not forget him for his work as a spy master during the war against Great Britain that established the colonies as a free nation. When the CIA opened its Liaison Conference Center in 1997, the 3 meeting rooms were named for 3 separate areas of espionage. George Washington and Benjamin Franklin were recognized for their work in foreign intelligence and covert action. The 3rd meeting room was named in honor of John Jay for his work in counterintelligence during the American Revolution. Even in these days of heightened awareness of other nations and their efforts to undermine American security, few people realize that John Jay was a spy master in New York, sending agents on missions to determine what plots were afoot among the British and their loyalist allies in New York. There's irony in the fact that the exploits of the father of American counterintelligence have so effectively, albeit unintentionally, been concealed. Who is this man who is remembered more by the CIA than by historians devoted to the subject of American history? John Jay was the son of a successful merchant. French Huguenot origins on his father's side and Dutch ancestry from his mother's side made him the typical New World hybrid, where a new ethnic identity was being forged from the different bloodlines of Europe. He was a cautious man who was not immediately convinced that independence was the desired goal, as the colonies began to regard their British ties as a yoke of servitude. But after he was converted to the patriot cause, he was committed to its success. He served his country as a delegate to the Continental Congress, then was sent abroad, first to Spain to seek recognition and a loan, and then to France, where he was one of the negotiators for the Treaty of Paris to bring the war against Great Britain to an official end. Recognizing the inherent weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, which had governed the nation in its earliest days, Jay was a supporter of the Constitution, and, along with Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, one of the authors of the Federalist Papers. He served the government as the Secretary of Foreign Affairs and Secretary of State, and then became the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. His role as the negotiator of what became known as Jay's Treaty may have cost him any hopes of becoming president. The treaty was unpopular, even though it was pragmatic in avoiding a second war with Great Britain before the country was strong enough to fight it. John Jay had a resume that matched those of his fellow founding fathers. Why, then, is he an afterthought in the historical accounts? Historian Walter Starr, his biographer, believes that the reason is Jay himself. Unlike John Adams, who spent a lot of time defending his place in history, Jay does not spend a lot of time on that. He answers letters as they arrive, but doesn't seek out writing engagements. The War of 1812 is very worrisome because he devoted a lot of time to avoiding that, and he worried about the emerging tensions between North and South. In the end, he's more worried about America than he is about John Jay. It is time that this forgotten founding father is found.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.